ladies and gentlemen, to another edition and episode of the Batter's Box presented by Pride Auto Repair. Pride Auto, now servicing 2 locations, one in Warren, one in Clinton Township, providing all your auto repair needs. If you need any auto repairs, go ahead and visit Pride Auto Repair at prideautorepairllc.com. You also can visit their Shaner Road or Little Mac offices at 586-578-0080 or call them at 586-463-3343. I am joined by a very special guest, Mr. Rick Burke from One Nation. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on today.
No, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I know that you're, we talked about it a little bit right before the interview. I imagine you're a little bit busy, especially with the weekender coming up. But I want to get a little bit more information. Some people don't necessarily know the story behind the weekender. So give me a little story about how the weekender at least started and kind of the, I guess, the growing of that specific tournament.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those, we were looking 10, 12 years ago, just kind of kicking the ideas around of something different in the market. We've got, you've got these fundraiser tournaments. Sometimes you got these all-nighter events that are part of festivals and fairs and things. And we thought, hey, why don't we do one that's fully sanctioned, a qualifier? And so that's kind of how we started. And we kind of borrowed from ESPN the weekend, and let's do, at the time it was GSL the weekend, and now it's One Nation the weekend, and everyone's kind of just changed it up over time to be the weekender. But we used to start, in the early days, we'd start on Friday night, Friday 4 or 5 p.m. We'd play multiple round robin games. We only took a break from 3 a.m. until 6 a.m. both nights, and we basically played around the clock from Friday evening all the way through Sunday. And we started with 40-something teams. It grew. We were pushing close to 70 teams. We outgrew the format. We outgrew the initial complex. We were at Victory Park in Northern Ohio. And then the opportunity came 6 years ago or so to move it to Berliner. And we really had big success. And, we still keep the name. We still keep all the history of the event, year 10 now. But the format is just a straight double elimination at this point, just due to, what we have to deal with the city and just the amount of teams that are interested each year in attending this event.
Now, obviously, with the years as it has progressed and grown this year, specifically in 2025, what do you guys have new upcoming for this year that makes it a little more special?
So we had a bunch of stuff planned. We wanted to make it our biggest event yet, and we were really on pace to do that. Entries were ahead of schedule, deposits were ahead of schedule, and unfortunately, with the block on the schedule, with Easter being late this year, shifting our weekend, we had some fields cut down, and then some things happened where we really had to cut back. But even though we're down on team count just because we had to cut it down based on the fields available, we've still added from last year. We've added almost $3,000 total cash to the prize pot. We've got a bunch of cool branded things that we're going to do to celebrate the 10th anniversary. I mean, one of them here is the event shirts. We've got 2 event shirts that are going to be available. We've got the short sleeve Crazy Edition shirt, courtesy of Cal Creator, the design here. We've also got a more simplistic long sleeve that we're going to have. Those are all branded. We've got, I don't know if you can see this or not, but we've got our medals that we're going to do for all the champions that has the 10th anniversary logo. In addition to the championship rings and all of the hardware and plaques and everything are all branded with the 10th anniversary edition of the weekender. So we're excited to put all that together. And even when we are down on team count, still being able to add to the prize package. We've had some sponsors to step in and do some things, donations, adding to the prize pot here and there with some merchandise, some deep discounts on things. So we're excited about the prize package. We've got a lot of stuff to give away, and for the teams that we're able to get in, it's going to be we're going to be chock full of softball from sun up to sundown.
I will say the rings do look pretty sweet this year. I was looking at them and I was like, wow, they look pretty sweet. Especially, who do you guys go through them for those?
Yeah, so we use I use a company called Green Engraving. They do all my stuff. So all the directors kind of have a go-to for a lot of that stuff. I use Crown Awards for some of the stuff when I need things quick. But when I want to do some of this custom stuff, they've got pretty good designers at Green that do some things for me, and they can turn things around pretty quick. It's always cool, I mean, everybody likes the custom rings with their logos and things like that when you win a World Series, but being able to hand out the rings on site and have those there, I mean, it's a really cool thing. And this is the first year we've ever given out rings
Hmm.
for the Weekender. It was just one of those, hey, it's the 10th anniversary. Let's do something a little different. Let's mark this as a special event. No one else has ever won a ring for winning the Weekender, so let's do it for this edition.
I was gonna say I don't recall the having the rings out for the Weekender in the previous year, so that's definitely a nice little
Yeah.
twist, especially for being the 10th year anniversary. Let's go into a little bit. We know the brackets just came out late yesterday, and we're gonna have a show from off the bench, be able to review those. If you want to be able to tune into that, go ahead and check us out at Off the Bench Live. We have our full panel that's gonna be reviewing that in depth, that bracket. But talking about the brackets, give me a little bit in depth of how you guys are structuring them. We're not at the very beginning of the year. So we do have some teams that have already played and had a little bit more experience, or at least have had a couple more tournaments under their belt. What are you guys doing in terms of structuring or putting together the structure of that bracket, determining who's playing first, who's playing when, and not only field play but also times and so forth?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've kind of tweaked things around over the years, and we've arrived at, I think, now the last 2 to 3 years, that once we hit April 1st on our calendar, even though it's early in the year, we start seeding all of our brackets by points. It just what it does is it rewards those teams that play early. Hey, I traveled to Myrtle Beach, or I went down south and played in a tournament, or I went to Illinois and went out of town for one of Brian Mayfield's early season tournaments that he has that kicks off on the turf in Illinois. Or hey, I did well at the Mojo. So it kind of rewards those teams that play early. The seeding might not reflect, hey, this is the best team, or this is the worst team. So it creates, I think what you're alluding to, it creates some unique matchups. And really, the only thing we really try to look at is in the bigger brackets, mainly the C and or mainly the D and E, is making sure that we don't have teams that are from outside of Ohio playing each other first round. So we do have a little flexibility. We might move a team up or down a seed just to avoid that matchup, because no, that's the worst, right? Going out of town for a tournament and playing a team that you see every week in a local tournament, or that you got buddies on that team, and one of those teams has to hit the losers bracket. So I don't even know if I had to tweak anything. I think the seating worked out pretty seamlessly. But yeah, it creates some interesting matchups for sure, especially when you get a team. I always tell people I really don't look at matchups. I don't look at who's playing who. I don't look at when they're playing. I build the bracket with numbers. I build the bracket with seeds on, team names off. But just to prep for the
Hmm.
interview today, because I thought you might ask me, I just so happened to pop into the D bracket and look, and one of the most interesting matchups I saw was, a team like Rock Run Industries, who's, up in D this year, um, having a matchup where if they win their first game, having a matchup right off the bat with our Mojo champ Raptors. So that could be a real interesting early matchup. And just things like that happen, right? I'm sure Rock Run, once they start playing more, will have points and be in line for one of those buys. But
Right.
the way things work out early in the season, some of those matchups are going to be fun to watch.
Man, giving us a little bit of teaser of the preview of the brackets. I like it, Rick. Thanks. I appreciate that. Talking about going a little bit more into the brackets, we noticed that we've got the C, D, and E for men's. I know that that's a big focus, especially with a One Nation. We're definitely trying to expand more into the conference level, and not only conference but also the Open, and getting more of those higher level teams. And tell me a little bit, what guys' strategy, specifically not only with the Weekender, but how potentially even future plans of expanding for the Weekender to try to attract more of those Open teams.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I think all but maybe two years, we've had a B in an open division for the Weekender. And when we were putting the show schedule together, it just, it didn't make a lot of sense to, hey, we've got the Mojo, we've got the show finals in August and things like that. It just didn't make a lot of sense to try to throw another show event right on top of it. Also, I think we're going up against the Hall of Fame duels,
Yeah.
the same weekend, which
Hmm.
didn't make a lot of sense for us to try to, make anybody try to split their time if they were
Hmm.
planning on playing the show. So, we did offer that B division for the teams, regionally that want to play our program, and we had two women's B teams and two men's B teams, and rather than say, hey, sorry, we can't accommodate you guys, we're gonna combine the B and C and do some things a little bit different with equalizers, and still a great cash payout for the C teams, and an incentive essentially, basically, if a C team wins or finishes first or second, I mean, they're going to be able to add even more cash by being in one of those finishing positions. So, we really have to make a place for those teams,
Hmm.
and that's really what we're committed to doing. It's as long as the teams sign up, we're gonna make space for them. I mean, I think last year, the last 2 years maybe, I think we only had one team in it sign up for the B, so it was that decision was made for us, and not
Hmm.
being able to put them in. But hey, as long as we have at least two, when we move forward with that, um, you know, we could have done something where we had, hey, we maybe got three or four teams and done it with a small bracket. But hey, I'm sure the B teams are happy to have a bigger bracket to compete in, and a full weekend of bracket to look forward to.
Perfect. I mean, and I definitely can see again, with the strategy you guys have and that focus of trying to incorporate it and bring on the more open teams and getting this show really humming. And I can appreciate this, definitely not wanting to necessarily compete with the Hall of Fame tournament, because I mean, it's just being respectful out of the teams, not wanting to necessarily divide. And from that part, as we move along to obviously the weekenders coming up, what do you guys have upcoming for One Nation? I know that right now your mindset is probably on the weekender and knocking that out, but in the future, say, what do you guys have upcoming that are highlight tournaments coming in the next month or two?
Yeah, we got a couple of big ones coming up. We've got our Spring Nationals weekend, which we divide between a couple of different parks in Ohio. Spring Nationals for all classes, either at Berliner or Canton, Ohio, on the turf. That's the first weekend in May. But the next real big tournament is June was it June 13th weekend, King of the Hill down in Cincinnati this year, at MAB and at River City, moving away from Flash. But good early entries there. I think we're over 80 teams entered so far. We're not even a week into that registration process, so we're going to be pushing a sellout again in 2025 for King of the Hill.
That's awesome. I mean, we're looking forward to being off the bench, but we're looking forward to being there as well. I know that's something. Even they just updated the fields over there for the Mid American ballpark, right? So
Yeah,
it's
they're in the process of finishing that up, putting in the turf. They actually had an event a week and a half ago
mhm,
at a baseball tournament. Baseball games played on that turf. They've put in all new backstops, new dugouts, redoing the restaurant, the bar area, the common spaces, and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, the atmosphere down there, even when the park was a little bit run down, the atmosphere at MAB is always second to none. It's a great place to take in softball, hang out, and especially when you got summertime. Should expect some good weather. We're going to be there for three days. It's just going to be a lot of fun, especially having you guys on board,
mhm.
and all the things that we're going to eventually announce for that weekend. King of
Yep.
the Hill is going to be something to be at this year.
Definitely, I can tell you, we're definitely excited already about it, and we're already putting the plans of different things we're going to try out and do that we have not done at any other tournament before. So I'm definitely pumped for it. Again, thank you so much for your time. I know that you're a busy man this week, so thank you so much for a few minutes to be able to chat with us. I wish you the best and good luck this week.
Hey, thanks a lot. We'll see you guys. See you guys on the diamond.
Yep, sounds good. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in with another episode of the Batter's Box. If you want to see more off the bench content, go ahead and visit Off the Bench Live, and that's Off the Bench Live on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you follow and subscribe, where we can do game commentary and more. This is Shot Mike tuning in from Batter's Box. We'll see you next time.